Today it's the Mini versus the Fiat 500. Two tiny hatchbacks cuter than a newborn puppy go head to head in the Edmunds comparison. Hello, I'm Alistair Weaver, your judge and juror, and I'm joined by two of Edmunds' finest editors, Mike Monticello representing the Fiat 500 and Jay Kavanagh, the Mini Cooper. The first category up is driving experience. Jay, this has always been a Mini forte, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no contest here. The Mini's base engine is a turbocharged 3-cylinder that has 134 horsepower, but more importantly, it's got a bunch of torque in the mid-range. It has 162 pound-feet of torque, and it really scoots. And if that's not enough, there's an optional 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that has 189 horsepower in the Cooper S. Either engine is available with a slick shifting 6-speed manual, and even the optional automatic is actually really nice.
I will admit that the base model of the Fiat 500 is a bit underwhelming to drive, at least in a straight line. But if you get the turbo model, it's a lot more entertaining. 135 horsepower, easy shifting 5-speed manual. And let's talk handling. You might think the Mini completely outhandles the Fiat, but it actually doesn't. In our slalom test, they're both about 67 miles per hour. And even though the Mini has more overall grip, the Fiat 500 is so light and small, you can really throw it around. It's actually one of the best riding subcompact cars you can buy.
I'll agree that the Mini isn't really the best riding with its run-flat tires, but it's way more refined than the Fiat. It's more substantial, the steering is less toy-like than the Fiat.
Did you just call my car a toy?
It's kind of toy-like.
Well, when you guys have stopped throwing your toys out of the pram, I will pass judgment. Now, both of these cars are fun to drive, but for me, the Mini just shades it and gets the first point. Let's move on to the interiors. Mike, the Fiat 500 is not exactly overburdened with space, is it?
No, I mean, it's a pretty tiny car, although the front headroom actually isn't that bad. But you know, the interior of these cars, both cars are a bit overstyled and both have some oddities because of it. Believe it or not, the Fiat is actually the more normal of the two. The Mini, its interior controls are pretty good. They're a little higher quality than the Fiat's. But many of the controls and instruments just seem weird for the sake of being weird.
Yeah, both of these cars are going for a retro-ish vibe, but I think the Mini's execution is just more convincing. The Mini's cabin is simply finished to a higher standard than the Fiat's, with much more refinement, far better materials, and more interior space in the front, whether we're talking about head, shoulder, or legroom.
You know, there are some other cool things in the Fiat. For instance, it's got this high mount shift lever, and when you talk about something falling readily to hand, having a shifter right here is absolutely perfect.
Well, let's talk about cargo space though. I mean, with the seats up, they're pretty similar. The Fiat actually has a little bit of an advantage over the Mini, but put the back seats down in the Mini and it's no contest.
If we're honest about it, neither of these cars is really suitable for family motoring, but for its marginally better space and its much better quality, my point goes to the Mini. So Jay, you might not fit in the back seat, but can you still make a case for the Mini's value?
Well, certainly the Mini is the more expensive car. At $21,300 base price, it's more expensive than the Fiat, but it's also a more complete car. I mean, the base engine is competitive with the Fiat's optional engine, and it's got a better interior. It's got things like automatic cruise control, a leather wrap wheel, and an almost endless supply of options. So it's just a more complete package.
Yeah, but here's the thing, you can get into the full fun, full obnoxious Abarth model with 160 horsepower for just over 23 grand. And even at the base Fiat 500 17.3 price, it still comes with heated mirrors, cruise control, height adjustable driver's seat, Bluetooth, and iPod integration. So this isn't a completely stripped out car.
Well, let's talk fuel economy. The Mini's getting 33 miles per gallon to the Fiat's 34 miles per gallon, which isn't a huge difference in fuel economy considering how gutless that base Fiat engine is.
Well, now you're just trying to offend me. You know, I'm going to stick with the Fiat 500's 34 mpg number. It is still the best. It still does win the fuel economy category.
Yeah, but when you configure the Fiat with an engine that's actually comparable to the Mini, the Fiat's fuel economy drops to 30 miles per gallon and adds $2,000 to its sticker price, which really erodes the Fiat's value situation.
So this is a toughie. On the one hand, the Fiat has a lower starting price, but on the other, the Mini is more sophisticated. You know what? I'm feeling sorry for Mike. Let's call it a tie, 1 point each.
I'm on the board.
Yeah, he's just throwing you a bone.
So as we enter the famous wildcard round, we've got a chance for a Fiat fight back. So tell me, Mr. Monticello, what can the Italian offer that the German can't?
Well, hey, I got to embrace my Italian heritage. But what I want to talk about here for my wildcard is the 500 Abarth model. It has 160 horsepower, does 0 to 60 in 7.1 seconds, has a really raucous exhaust note, makes the Mini sound kind of tame. And between the improved handling and all this racket going on with this car. It's actually a real riot to drive out on the road.
The Abarth is a fun Fiat 500, but in our testing, it's barely any faster than the base Mini, and at just over $23,000, it's not too far from a Mini Cooper S, which starts at $24,950, and that car just demolishes the Abarth.
But I think there's more going on here with the Fiat 500 than just performance. I mean, it's Italian and everything that comes with that. For some people, that alone is enough to buy this thing. It's a modern version of the Fiat Cinquecento, and that's kind of cool.
I don't know, Mike, it sounds like you're saying that the Fiat's charms are only skin deep.
Don't hurt me, don't hurt me.
And while the Mini can be criticized for being, well, a little overwrought, it's definitely the more complete package here. It goes beyond the superficial.
I loved the first BMW Mini when it arrived back in 2001, but all these years later it still feels like pretty much the same car, and to be honest, I'm getting bored of it. The Fiat 500, and particularly the Abarth, might not be as technically accomplished, but it does have that Italian spirit, and it grabs an extra point. And so at the end of all that, the Fiat 500 has due punti, and the BMW Mini has dry punta. So the Mini wins 3-2. Well done, Jay. So if you can get over my terrible abuse of the Italian and German language, be sure to click here for the full reviews of both the Mini and the Fiat 500, and subscribe to the Edmunds video channel for all the latest reviews.